Thank you. Good morning. Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Teddy Roosevelt said that in 1903 to a bunch of farmers in upstate New York. When he said work worth doing, what he meant was putting food on the table. Health, comfort, and reasonable advantage. But I think that there's another meaning to work worth doing. In college, I worked as a bouncer, a tutor, a computer, a lab assistant, a librarian, a janitor. I love my work. Teddy Roosevelt said, "There is no room for the idler in our healthy American life." And he didn't have to worry about me. I believe in work worth doing. So, several years ago, when I left academia, I did a couple of successful startups. And when you do a couple of successful startups, what people expect you to do is do more successful startups. So everybody was shocked when I went to Microsoft. They said, "Why would you do that? The bureaucracy will kill you. You'll never get anything done." And I said, because for me, Microsoft has meaning. When you are a startup, if you get 10,000 users or 100,000 users, you're successful. You exit. In Microsoft, we speak in millions. I've been lucky enough to direct a project for kids, Bing for Schools. And within the first week of announcing the program, 1,000 districts had signed up, representing millions and millions of kids. That, for me, is work worth doing. And I think Teddy Roosevelt had that in mind as well. When his wife died, he put an X on the calendar and he said, "Today, the light has gone out of my life." And he poured himself into his work, reforming New York City and fighting corruption. Work kindled his spirit and helped him return from that grief. It's helped me return from grief, and I suspect it's probably helped many people in this room return from grief. We've all been at a place where we felt lost, and in productive work, we found ourselves. I believe in work worth doing, which is why I was so utterly confused by the following two facts. 7% of the kids who graduated in 2012 in the US are unemployed. And yet, there are 300,000 job openings that are looking for people with a college degree and no experience. How is this possible? How can we have so many unemployed, talented, qualified people and so many open jobs? It can't just be salary or geography. Move! Take less money! You often see graphics that look like this, that say college graduates make a lot more money than high school graduates. This is the narrative that we tell to kids. We say, work worth doing, going to college, is about making money, putting food on the table. But this is not the comparison point that most college students are making. When they come out of college, they're not thinking about making more than high school students. They're thinking about making as much as their own expectations. In psychology and economics, we talk about unrealized and realized losses. Today, you buy a stock for $10. Tomorrow, the stock market crashes and it's only worth $5. On paper, you have lost $5. But until the moment that you sell that stock, it is still an unrealized loss. It's just on paper. And you can hold on to that stock and hope that the market changes and goes back up. And that's how people lose money in the stock market. It's by holding on to things until it goes down and down and down and down and down. Right? That is actually the world that college graduates live in. Slide error. Should say 84%. 84% of college students expect to make more than $25,000 at their first job. The problem is, only 65% actually do. And that gap right there, that's the opportunity to realize a loss. Because by taking a job that pays you less than you think you are worth, you are selling at the bottom of the market, right? They have the opportunity to hold on to the stock and pray that the market will go back up. Because they can move an unrealized loss to a realized loss by taking a job. But as long as they can keep it in the unrealized category, they don't have to complete the following sentence. I am worth less than I thought I was. Taking that job means feeling worthless. But this is where the other meaning of work worth doing comes in. Because one of the problems with being unemployed is that it doesn't provide meaning. We know that being out of work is one of the sheerest routes to depression. So we have this whole population of students who have opted out of taking jobs, and in trying not to feel a loss in salary, they are setting themselves up for a much greater loss in happiness because they miss out on work worth doing. But we could change the conversation. Imagine if instead of infographics that look like this, we had ads that look like this. Because when they say here, make more, teach, they don't mean make more money. They mean make more meaning. This is a conversation that we could have in society. My father, when I was young, was fond of saying, you boys, you are my chance to change the world. I'm a first-generation college kid. My mom actually got her bachelor's right around the same time I did. And it was awesome. Thanks, Mom. My parents didn't mean that our job was to go out and make more money, and that's what we would do to improve the situation of our family. What they meant is that we would go out and just make more. That the point of college was not making more money, but giving us the opportunity to take on work and challenges that changed the world, that made us happy, that opened up options, right? And people understand the power of work. 82% of seniors said, I am passionate about my major. So we understand the idea of worth doing. The problem comes when we couple it with work, right? 86% of students said the most important thing that a job can do is pay me a high salary. Only 49% said it was important that work was interesting and challenging. But there is hope. Because after just 1 year in the workplace, that 49% goes to 56%. People who are exposed to work find that meaning is incredibly important. And that, I think, is how we start to change the conversation. That's the clue. That's the piece I think my father was trying to give me. That in fact, work can be meaningful. And I think we have to expose kids to work early. That means more part-time jobs and more internships. We also have to change the conversation with colleges and parents so that they value work. Because the skills that you build by being a team captain or president of your class, you can also learn in the workplace. Many of the skills that brought me to this stage, determination, cooperation, many of the skills that brought you into this room, you learned in the workplace. Work can be meaningful. We don't have to protect kids from work just because it will be a big part of the rest of their lives. We don't have to say, no, childhood is this period in which you don't work. Childhood is a great many things, but children work all the time. Instead, what we can say is that work is not to be dreaded, it is to be prized at any age and in any stage of your life. And I want to leave you with a vision not from the past, not from Teddy Roosevelt, but with a vision of the future. When Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek, he envisioned a world in which scarcity had been solved. Matter could be created out of energy. Entire planets terraformed. People could have homes anywhere. And in the midst of all of this abundance, with scarcity eliminated, what did people do? They worked. They worked. Because what so many people, and science fiction writers in particular, have figured out is that we will always be workers because we will be passionate about subjects. We will always be rising apes. When Captain Picard said, "To boldly go where no one has gone before," he meant work worth doing, right? To boldly go is work worth doing. Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Thank you.